Hey there, everybody. This is Kristin from Teaching Balance, and I am here with you with this week's mindfulness meditation practice. And this is our last week of the theme exploring working with challenging emotions. We've looked at it from a lot of different angles, the metaphor of making space for it on the bench next to you, putting yourself up in the balcony and watching it on stage. We did some deep breathing through our challenges or our discomfort. And I think for this final week of this theme, I'd like for us to continue with sort of what was inspired by last week of talking, almost dealing more with the body, as opposed to these, visualizations, which also have value. But what I'm thinking about is less about the deep breathing, although you can always bring that into play if you feel that it is supportive. But what I'm actually more interested in is playing with the idea of grounding our more challenging emotions in the body, and by allowing ourselves to discern or become aware of physical sensations that might be associated with that emotion, how that can be very supportive, because the more embodied we are in our physicality, the more we feel like we're actually in our skin and not just buzzing around in our brains, or even more commonly as this like floating thought bubble of everything going on, that you're actually just in here, in your body, and really feeling what you're feeling when it comes to the emotions that you may be experiencing. Now, it varies from person to person and from circumstance to circumstance. Sometimes I really struggle to find where I'm feeling my emotion, whether that is an emotion like maybe anxiety, or even like a state of mind like sleepiness and things like that. And those are actually two that aren't as hard. But so if you feel that for this particular session that you're just not quite making the connection, please realize that that's actually quite common. But also, I wouldn't give up and just think like, oh, I'm just not good at that. Because there is, I think, a lot of value in seeing if you can notice sensations that might be associated with emotional states, because it is very, very supportive. And it really is just like, this might be an oversimplification, but it is almost just like a hug, in the sense of like when you're having a hard time and it just feels so good to get a hug from someone who cares. It's almost like giving yourself a hug in a way, because you're grounding yourself and really stabilizing your experience by noticing where it may reside in your physical body. So I am going to work this into our meditation today. Let me set my timer for 10 minutes. And by the way, if this isn't resonating for you, do whatever feels right. Do a regular meditation. You can just sort of tune me out until you hear our final bell. If you want to do that, you're welcome to. Okay, here we go. I haven't talked about anchors in a while, so I'm just going to take a moment to do that briefly. Eyes closed or gaze downward, sitting in a way that is upright but not tight. Of course, any of these meditations can also be done lying down. And if you're lying down, just doing so in a way that is a little more aligned with awareness than with sleep. You might find it helpful to turn your palms upward if you're lying back. It's entirely up to you. Now, for the anchors of your awareness, one option is the very classic traditional option of just resting your awareness on your breath and the sensations associated with the breath. When it comes to the breath, I often like to, in a sense, ride the wave of the breath, because there, for me at least, tends to be a slight rising on the inhale and then descending on the exhale, like very gentle swells in the ocean. You can also use sounds, external sounds like a plane or a car passing by, a dog barking, and internal sounds like your HVAC system or even the ringing in your ears. And you can sit in open awareness, just noticing any sensory input from moment to moment. And of course, you can rest your awareness on body sensations, which we're going to take a deeper dive into momentarily. But first, let's just settle in for a minute or so. Now, if you'd like to keep going with your regular meditation, that's fine. But if you'd like to explore this approach or technique to working with emotions, first thing I'm going to invite you to do is check in to see if any emotions are present for you right now. They don't have to be very obvious emotions, although that may be the case for you. And actually, you don't even really need for the emotions to be difficult or challenging. You might be feeling a sense of excited anticipation, perhaps for something that you're looking forward to. Or you might even be experiencing just a quality of peacefulness. You can do what we're about to do together with that as well. And if you do have any qualities of something that's bothering you and it's creating some frustration, or even just a quality of like emotional overwhelm. I feel that way typically when I'm just exhausted from doing too much and dealing with too much. So you get the gist. We're just noticing if any emotions are present. And if you care to, what I'd like for you to do is just, with a quality of curiosity and interest, checking in with your body now and just seeing if there are any actual physical signs or sensations. So if you're feeling a quality of excited anticipation, can you feel that manifesting itself anywhere in your body? It might even be around the mouth if you're feeling, as you bring to mind this thing you're excited about. A smile. It could be in the cheeks. There might even be a quality of warmth in the heart center for that more positive emotion. And there's no right way to feel any of these things. There's no right place or location. So even for the more challenging emotions like frustration or anger, are there any signs or sensations in the body? In a sense, you could say, where do you feel anger in your body, or sadness, or whatever it may be? Maybe a clenching of your hands, a tightness in the neck and shoulders. It can also be almost your entire form, a quality of listlessness or low energy. And just the action of exploring your physical state, even if it feels rather elusive and you're not really noticing anything obvious relating to sensations associated with emotions, just the noticing and the seeking out in and of itself can be very beneficial and grounding. Now, if you do find yourself noticing sensations associated with emotions, I'm going to invite you to really allow your awareness to penetrate that sensation. So, for example, how would you describe it? Is there tightness or almost like a flaccid quality? Is there a temperature associated with it? Does it feel hot or even cold, almost numb? And what are the boundaries of that sensation? Most likely an irregular perimeter, but of course it's not in your whole body, so where does that sensation cease to exist? And just allowing yourself with a quality, as I've said, of curiosity and interest and even lightness, exploring these sensations and allowing them to just be as they are, and that allowing serving as an opportunity to ground yourself in this emotional experience and help you feel supported in it. And just being present to that until you hear the final bell. That's 10 minutes. So it's really interesting, even though this isn't necessarily a skill that I'm particularly adept at. In my various trainings, I have observed people actually teaching kids about this, which I think is so interesting, as a way for them to work with their emotions, which of course kids and emotional self-regulation is just a whole different jam. And it's something that seems to really help them. So it's not something I wouldn't give up on it if it wasn't really resonating for you. And I would encourage you to feel free to share that with people in your life too, where if you're feeling an emotion or state of mind or whatever it might be, just seeing if you can notice the sensations associated with it, and then perhaps either internally in your own mind, or even if you choose to share it externally, articulating what that sensation is like. There's just I think there's a lot of empowerment to that, and I think it feels very supportive. So thank you so much, as always, for taking this time for yourself, and thank you for allowing me to accompany you on this journey. I will see you next week. Take care. Bye.